You are standing around a fire. It is 50,000 BC. The sun just went down. There is no light, no shelter beyond these flames, no sound except the crack of burning wood and the breathing of the people beside you. Just you, the fire, and thick smoke curling slowly and directly into your face. And somewhere, at some point, one of your ancestors looked at that smoke and thought, what if I did that on purpose? This is the story of how humans discovered smoking. Not cigarettes. Not the guy outside the office you always end up talking to for too long. We are going all the way back to the very first time a human being deliberately inhaled something burning, and why that single moment might be the oldest habit our entire species has ever had. Before you can smoke anything, you need fire. The oldest confirmed evidence of controlled fire use dates back 1 million years from Wonderwork cave in South Africa. Archaeologists found burnt ash and charred bone, not from a wildfire, from a sustained fire maintained deliberately inside a cave. That was not even Homo sapiens. That was Homo erectus and our earlier cousin. They sat around fires every single day for hundreds of thousands of years and breathed smoke constantly. But here is what makes this interesting. Some of that smoke was not just wood smoke. When you burn organic matter, you do not just get carbon dioxide. You get a cocktail of compounds, and some plants, when burned, release psychoactive chemicals, alkaloids and terpenes, that interact with the human nervous system in ways that are very, very noticeable. Some of our ancestors were accidentally getting high around campfires and had absolutely no idea why they suddenly felt incredible. The human brain has receptors that respond to cannabinoids. These receptors did not evolve because of cannabis. They are part of our endocannabinoid system, which regulates mood, memory, appetite, and pain. But the fact that they exist means that when the first human inhaled smoke from a burning cannabis plant, their brain was not confused. Their brain said, "Oh, hello, I have been waiting for you." That moment, that first accidental hit of psychoactive smoke around a prehistoric campfire, might be the true origin of smoking as a behavior. Not a decision, not a plan, just a very pleasant accident, repeated enough times that someone eventually thought to recreate it on purpose. Think about what that means. The entire trillion-dollar global tobacco industry, centuries of ritual, the shamanic traditions, the medical systems and all of it may have started because a tired hunter sat downwind of the wrong bush and had the greatest evening of his prehistoric life. History is sometimes beautiful in the most absurd ways. Now, let's look at what archaeology can actually prove. The oldest direct evidence of intentional cannabis use burned cannabis seeds in a context strongly suggesting deliberate inhalation comes from a burial site in the Pamir Mountains of Central Asia, dating to around 500 BC. Excavators found wooden braziers containing superheated stones alongside cannabis residue with unusually high THC content. This was not wild cannabis grown for rope or food. This was specifically selected for potency, and it was placed deliberately inside a ritual burial. But here is the critical question. Does the absence of older, physical evidence mean smoking did not happen earlier? Organic material almost never survives thousands of years underground. We find stone tools from 3 million years ago because stone is indestructible. But a wooden pipe filled with dried herbs? Gone within centuries. A leather pouch of cannabis? Dissolved back into the earth long before any archaeologist arrived. The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. Then there is what historians call the Herodotus problem. Herodotus, the ancient Greek historian, described in remarkable detail how the Scythians, a nomadic people of the Eurasian steppe, performed what he called a vapor bath. They would set up small enclosed tents, heat stones until they glowed, throw hemp seeds onto those stones, and sit inside inhaling the smoke. And according to Herodotus, they howled with pleasure. For centuries, historians assumed he was exaggerating. Then archaeologists excavated Scythian burial mounds and found bronze braziers, heated stones, and hemp residue, exactly what Herodotus described. The man was not exaggerating. He was reporting exactly what he saw. Now let's talk about tobacco, the plant most people actually associate with smoking. Tobacco is native entirely to the Americas. That means it was completely unknown to Europe, Africa, and Asia until 1492. When Columbus arrived in the Caribbean, he immediately noticed indigenous People walking around with small burning sticks inhaling smoke and exhaling it through their noses. His crew was baffled. They also tried it within weeks, because of course they did. But tobacco use in the Americas is far older than 1492 chemical. Residues of tobacco have been found in ancient pipes, dating back 3,500 years in the southeastern United States. Some researchers believe it goes back 10,000 years or more. And here is what almost nobody tells you. In ancient America, tobacco was not recreational. It was sacred. Tobacco was used in healing rituals, in communication with the spirit world, in binding agreements between tribes. Blowing smoke on someone was an act of blessing and deep respect. A shaman who smoked was not on a cigarette break. He was opening a channel between the living and the divine. The smoke itself was considered a living messenger, carrying prayers upward and bringing visions downward. In 2019, researchers made a remarkable discovery at a site in the Great Salt Lake Desert in Utah, hearth, roughly 12,000 years old and containing seeds of wild tobacco species. These were not seeds that accidentally blew into the fire. They were concentrated, deliberately placed. And this site predated any known pottery or pipe artifacts in the region by thousands of years. This pushed back the possible timeline of tobacco use in the Americas by a massive margin. If people were throwing tobacco into fires 12,000 years ago, what were people in Africa, Asia, and Europe doing with their local psychoactive plants at exactly the same time? Because 12,000 years ago, humans were everywhere. And the desire to alter consciousness is not an American phenomenon. That is a human phenomenon. Here is something taken seriously by respected anthropologists. The intoxication hypothesis. Across virtually every human culture ever documented, people have sought ways to alter their consciousness. They have drunk fermented beverages, eaten psychedelic mushrooms, inhaled smoke, chewed plant leaves. This behavior is so universal and so persistent that some researchers believe it is not accidental. Ronald Siegel at UCLA proposed that the pursuit of intoxication is effectively a fourth biological drive alongside hunger, thirst, and sex. Not just in humans, in animals too. Elephants deliberately seek fermented fruit. Reindeer in Siberia eat psychoactive mushrooms and then drink the urine of other reindeer, who ate those mushrooms because the active compounds pass through intact. Reindeer doing drug recycling in Siberia. Respect. The point is, if this drive is this ancient and this universal, early humans were almost certainly deliberately seeking psychoactive smoke long before they had pipes or pottery. Not out of addiction, out of intelligence. They noticed something changed how they felt, and they chose to do it again. Here is an angle almost nobody discusses. Smoking was medicine. The Ebers Papyrus, one of the oldest medical documents in the world, dating to ancient Egypt around 1550 BC, describes treatments involving the deliberate inhalation of smoke from heated herbs, specifically for conditions of the throat and lungs. Hippocrates wrote about the inhalation of herbal vapors to treat disease. Ancient Indian Ayurvedic medicine describes a practice called thumapana, literally smoke drinking, involving medicinal herbs inhaled through pipes, with detailed clinical protocols over 3,000 years old. Across ancient China, Mesopotamia, Greece, and India, in virtually every early civilization, there is evidence of therapeutic smoke inhalation as an accepted medical practice. The lungs as a direct delivery system made logical sense. Inhale the plant. Reach the site of disease directly. We still do this today with asthma inhalers and anesthetic gases. The delivery method survived. The burning part, thankfully, mostly did not. There is one more angle that deserves attention. Smoking was social technology. Humans evolved in groups. Group cohesion, the ability to stay together and act in coordination, was literally life and death. Shared rituals, including shared altered states, are among the most powerful social bonding tools ever used by our species. Modern neuroscience confirms this. Shared rituals synchronize neural activity, increase trust, and deepen group identity. The ritual smoke circle was not just a gathering. It was the infrastructure of survival. But then came the dark turn. When tobacco arrived in Europe in the 16th century, it spread with alarming speed. Within decades, it became continental obsession. By the early 1900s, the mass-manufactured cigarette had made tobacco cheaper. more convenient and more addictive than anything before. And then the tobacco. Industry spent decades and billions of dollars suppressing its own internal evidence that cigarettes caused cancer. They marketed to children, hired doctors to endorse their product, chemically engineered their product to maximize addiction. A shaman using sacred smoke in 500 BC and a tobacco executive in 1960 both worked with the same plant. They had almost nothing else in common. So when did humans first start smoking? The honest answer is we do not know exactly, and we probably never will. The physical evidence takes us back 12,000 years with confidence, and possibly much further with reasonable inference. The behavioral drive underneath it all, the desire to alter consciousness, to share ritual, to use inhaled plants as medicine, is almost certainly older than any artifact we have found. It may be as old as fire itself. What is clear is this. By the time the historical record begins in every corner of the world, humans were already finding ways to put smoke into their bodies. The specific plants changed, the rituals changed, the purposes changed, but the behavior was already ancient by the time anyone thought to write it down. For all the things that separate us from our ancestors, the technology, the medicine, the overwhelming amount of content we absorb every day, there are these thin, unbroken threads running across 100,000 years of human experience. Fire, smoke, breath. The oldest humans sat around fires and breathed the same smoky air you would smell at a bonfire tonight. Some of them started paying attention to what that smoke was doing to them, and then they started choosing it. And then they passed that knowledge down, not in libraries, but around fires, in the dark, mouth to ear for thousands of years. That knowledge is still inside you. You just forgot where it came from. If you made it this far, you now know something most people never think to ask. The next time you smell wood smoke on a cold night, you are participating in something far older than you realize. You are doing what humans have always done. Subscribe if this kind of deep history is what you are here for. More is coming.